7 o'clock, Mr. Chairman.
I agree. We do have 7 o'clock. Call the October 4th meeting of the Person County Board of Commissioners to order at this time. If you so desire, let me back up just a second. We need to announce, we do of course have a quorum, but Commissioner Gentry is attending remotely tonight. We want to recognize her and say that we're glad that she's able to attend via remote, but she's been out with surgery, so we're glad that she's well enough to be back and join us remotely. So at this time, if you so desire, please join me in prayer. Afterward, we'll ask Commissioner Puryear to lead us in our pledge. Merciful God and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity of assembling here tonight. May we seek your guidance and your direction in decisions made, that it will be in your will and the best interest of the people of Person County. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on our agenda is discussion, adjustment, and approval of the agenda as presented. And we would like to add two items to that agenda tonight. One, the Berea Solar LLC written decision denying special use permit. The second being consideration to relocate the boards October 18th, November 1st, November 15th, and December 6th meetings to the county auditorium.
Move for approval.
Have a motion to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried. Item number 1 on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration to add Whispering Wolf Way, a private roadway, and Ms. Sally Vaughn. Now?
Yep.
I thought we did that after her. Okay.
Motion go into close.
Yeah, motion to go into public hearing. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. A couple of months ago.
You need to vote. I'm sorry.
Oh, I apologize. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you too. We're both anxious. Need a second?
Yes.
Have a motion. We don't need that, but a motion to go into public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Okay, Ms. Vaughn.
Now,
We're ready.
good evening. A couple of months ago, the owner of some property off of High Plains Road contacted us. He wants to build a third private home down his own private driveway. And of course, third private home or third dwelling on a private driveway necessitates that we name that private driveway. He's the only property owner in the area and the only one affected, and his choice of Whispering Wolf Way is therefore unanimous. And so that is compliant with the regulations outlined in our ordinance, and I would recommend the approval of the roadway name.
Any commissioner questions of Ms. Vaughn? Okay, then at this time, do we have public comments?
No, sir, no one has signed up to
Need,
speak on this public hearing.
okay. No one at all. Okay, do we have a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Great, thank you. Then item number 2, consideration to add
Aye.
Whispering Wolf Way to the database of the roadway names used for E911 dispatching. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Have a motion to approve. Any discussion?
This is right in front of the church, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you have the access road to Mayo Power Plant going to 501.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Okay, and public hearing is item number 3, petition SUP 0421, a request by the applicant, virtual bridge development. Vertical, I'm sorry. Glasses and print. Yeah, okay. So you got that right. Okay, Ms. Oakley? Do you need a motion to go into,
Motion to go into public hearing.
motion to go into public hearing? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Okay. Sorry, sorry.
This is a public hearing, a special use permit. Could we have everyone sworn in, please?
Yes, I've got that on my note, but I would announce that it is quasi judicial, and we do need all that will be speaking to be sworn in.
We have 2 individuals
No,
signed
you
up
did, no, that's good.
to speak, and if you will come forward, please. Mr. Doug Barker and Mr. Mark Webster. There's a couple Bibles. If you'll put your hand on the Bibles there.
Okay,
Our chairman will.
I'll read this, and and state your name.
Mark Lambros?
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as a testimony offered in the public hearing for petition SUP 0421, a request by the applicant, Vertical Bridge Development LLC, Doug Barker, on behalf of the property owner, Ralph W. Jones, to construct a new 300-foot tall, self-supported wireless communications tower on 25.59 acres, located at 2025 Guest Road, tax map and parcel number A43-176 in the R, which is residential zoning district.
I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Oakley?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, petition SUP-04-21 will be presented this evening by our staff planner, Angie Blunt.
Hello.
Good evening.
I'm going to take this off so I can breathe. Can't talk and breathe at the same time. Well, I'd first like to say that all state and local noticing requirements have been met for the public hearing, and I would like to present the following report so that it might be entered into the record for this case.
You have it on the side.
It's on. It's just not very big.
Kelly, can you swap the screens?
Oh, go ahead.
You have it minimized at the bottom.
All right, thank you. Okay, this is a special use permit SUP 0421. It is a request by the applicant, Vertical Bridge Development, LLC. Doug Baker is the representative on behalf of the property owner, Randy Jones, to construct a new 300-foot tall, self-supported wireless communications tower on 25.59 acres located at 2025 Guest Road in the R zoning district. This is a site plan of the property. It shows whenever you have a self-supporting tower that has certain breakpoints located on it, you can actually reduce your setback to half of what the height of the tower would normally be, and that's what they've done here. In some instances, they're in excess. I can't zoom that in, but I think you all have a copy of the site plan, so you can see that it's well in excess of what that would be. We also have a fault zone letter on file for them. This is an aerial view of the property. Properties that are to the north, south, east, and west. They're a combination of pasture land and wooded areas that contain 2 single-family dwellings. This is a zoning map. It shows that all the adjoining properties are zoned like this one, which is R for residential. This is a future land use map. In our comprehensive plan that we have currently, this property is identified as suburban residential. And this residential use allows subdivisions, manufactured home parks, densities of 1 to 3 dwelling units per acre, some commercial, office, industrial, public institutional uses meeting the locational criteria. And so it's in line with a cell phone tower which would deliver services. The parcel is zoned R for residential, and a communications tower is an allowed use in this zoning district after obtaining a special use permit. And then, as I said earlier, a reduction in setback to at least 1/2 the height of the tower is allowed if it's a self-supported tower. A certified fall zone letter is required. We have one, and it is on file. The proposed site plan meets the requirements of the Person County Planning and Zoning Ordinance regarding radio, telephone, and transmitting towers, specifically Appendix C, Note 9. And the applicant has stated that the proposed tower has gained approval from the Federal Communications Commission, and that the construction and placement of the tower will not interfere with any public safety communications or with the usual and customary transmission of radio, TV, or other communication services. Planning staff recommends that the board approve the request. The following conditions should be placed on the special use permit if that's the case. That the applicant should obtain all necessary permits, which would be building or zoning and building, for the wireless communication tower, and adhere to all requirements listed in the Person County Planning and Zoning Ordinance. The board can vote to approve with conditions, or to deny the request of the special use permit. The board will need to address the findings of fact in Section 155 of the Person County Planning Ordinance, and whether this proposal is in keeping with the Person County Land Use Plan. The findings of fact in Section 155-3B are as follows. And I won't read them off. I'm sure you're all familiar with the 4 findings of fact. But that is the presentation. I believe that we do have a representative from the cell tower company here tonight, if anyone had any questions. I think we also included a coverage map in your packet, which was interesting. And if you don't have any questions for me, Mr. Baker's here if you have any questions for him.
Good evening.
Doug Barker, 304 Springwater Trail, Woodstock, Georgia, 30188. Good evening. I'm here representing Vertical Bridge Development and, of course, a property owner as well on the application before you for the communications tower facility off of Guest Road at 2025 Guest Road in Timberlake. As we know, wireless communications have become the main mode of transportation for most folks. This facility is going to give the citizens and travelers and visitors to the county the access to that communication, not only for personal communications use, but also access to emergency services. As our primary mode of communication, it's become more and more important to have that access to to emergency services as well. Vertical Bridge Development is a tower owning company. They actively market their towers to every wireless service provider, whether it be internet provider, cell phone provider, anything along those lines, to get more tenants on their tower. It's how they make money. So you're not looking at a tower that's sitting out there with a owned by a carrier that doesn't want another carrier on it. These folks are actively marketing the tower. Like I said, it's the only way they make any money. So Verizon Wireless is the tenant that this tower is being constructed for. Verizon has signed up and is looking for this tower to go on air first quarter of next year. The tower emits no fumes, no noise, no odors. It backs up to a high tension transmission line on the back side of the property. That is our closest setback at 229 feet to that property line. The facility meets or exceeds all of the requirements of the Person County Ordinance, as well as all state and federal requirements that we have to adhere to in order to build these, inclusive of environmentals, fish and wildlife, historical preservation. Pretty much they cover all of the gamut for us. That's really it. You saw the coverage map, the kind of the gaping hole out there. The nearest towers that are in the area, Verizon is currently located on. So there's no ability to provide coverage to this area from using existing structures. And with that, I'll answer any questions the board may have and reserve any time for rebuttal.
I have one question. I guess I was just wondering, with the towers, the towers that you see out in certain places where it looks like a fake pine tree or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Are those the same type that you would use for the same communication, or why is there? If you can tell me what's the difference in why someone would go with that versus going with the tower that you have?
It really comes down to amount of people. Those towers are, because they're made to look like a tree, they're obviously a lot shorter. You don't see a whole lot of 300-foot pines out here. So they're designed to be a lot shorter and used just in more dense urban areas. They don't provide the coverage because the height isn't there, so they're usually more for filling in small gaps in coverage. The expense of building them, it would take at least 2 of those to cover this area just because of the reduction in height that's required on them, and one of them would be more expensive than this structure. So it really comes down to population count and what they're trying to cover out there.
Thank you. Appreciate you answering the question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman Powell, I do have a question. What is the actual coverage area of this tower?
It's going to be roughly 3 to 5 miles in all directions. Ballpark, it kind of depends on where their existing coverage is on the surrounding it, so they will kind of dial it back a little bit to hand off properly with the adjacent towers.
Will there be any other equipment on that tower except Verizon?
Not at this time. We will try to get AT&T out there and get wireless internet providers out there, but none of those will go on the tower without coming back through Person County for an additional permit.
Okay.
And I understand the fall zone is a 100-foot radius.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, no buildings. No, we have restrictions on what it can be around. So I'll check that on that.
And no guy wires, nothing outside of the 100 feet by 100 feet area.
One more question.
Sir,
Is there,
No, Commissioner Gentry.
I'm sorry. Commissioner, which had the question first?
let her go
Go-
first, she's related.
Go ahead, Commissioner Gentry. Did we lose you?
I think
I'm sorry, I had a quick question. How far? Can you hear me all right?
No, you faded out on us there. Try it again.
Thank you, thank you, Charlie. How far is this, there's a tower down at 57 and 157 and probably, I've got a bad, unstable connection. How far is this tower from the tower that's down, I'll text the question to Heidi.
Okay,
Okay.
good, yeah. Well, hang on, then we'll get that. And Commissioner Palmer, if you'd like to ask a question while that's coming.
Yeah, I know we've, excuse me, a little off topic here, but it's not off topic. My brain was. We've been on Verizon to improve their source of internet connection here in Florida County. I assume and hope that this is just one of more to follow. Towers through Verizon. I'm sorry, CenturyLink. CenturyLink. Do you know of any more that's coming up?
I know that I have one other tower that is planned in Person County. That is a Verizon Tower as well.
Verizon.
Verizon Tower, yes, sir. That I have planned, but until Verizon tells me to go, then it won't ever come before the board. I'm not in the business of speculative tower building. So that is the only one I'm aware of. Now, I will tell you that Verizon is actively building out everything up here. I've recently gotten 4 towers approved in Caswell County that are under construction and going into construction now, all for Verizon. So they're focusing heavily on a lot of areas that have been historically undercovered,
Right.
and really trying to focus on getting some coverage out here. And I don't get access to their build plans, but just based on what I've seen in Caswell County, I can only assume this is the first of a few to get the coverage where it needs to be in Person County.
That's good news to hear. Kind of going in circles here, but I was brought into this governing body back in December, and ever since December, we've been told that not Verizon, come on, Charlie. CenturyLink has been the one that's been dragging their feet for years on getting availability for Wi-Fi across this county. I have been contacted by numerous citizens. I've heard other board members and just general conversations through the departments as to why CenturyLink was not allowing or giving us more, that they do have the capability of giving more. So that's why I asked the question.
And I wish that I could answer that question. I certainly don't have access to CenturyLink's plans either. But I will tell you that you know, people have the misconception that when you pick up your cell phone and talk, it talks from one tower to the next, and it simply doesn't. When you talk to the tower, every bit of data that's going through that tower is going down the tower and into a landline. So every tower that gets approved, there's increased fiber lines that go to that tower from wherever the nearest may be. So every tower that's approved, you'll see increases in fiber connectivity and fiber speeds all along the roadways going to and from that tower as well. So I can't tell you what CenturyLink is going to do, but I can tell you there will be some increased fiber activity along that roadway.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
I have Commissioner Gentry's question. My question is, how far from tower at end of Guest Road and 57 at corner of Handy Andy's? I don't know if you know any of those markers.
I don't. I don't believe that there's a tower within 2 miles of this structure.
Okay.
And I have the information. It would just take me a minute to pull it up.
Okay. If you'll let us know an answer to that.
Certainly.
That would be great.
Any other questions of Mr. Barker? Okay, so you're going to check on that and
Yes,
get
I
an
am.
answer.
Yes, sir.
Now, is there someone else?
Yes, yes, sir. We had one gentleman, Mr. Mark Lamstra. I apologize if I said your name wrong. He stated he was neither in favor of nor in opposition to, but would like to speak to you.
In Orange County.
Howdy.
Good evening.
Even though I have gray hair, I've never done this before, so apologize if I do something that you're not comfortable with.
I like gray. You're okay.
I'm the house on the map that's the very first and the closest house. I think I'm closer than the owner's house. And so, so my questions go along the line that I have cell service there now, so I don't know why we need more cell service, but and I really don't mind the owner doing whatever he wants to do with his property, as long as it doesn't affect me. You know, it's kind of a me situation. I personally don't want to look at the tower, and I think that's where it's going to affect me. Wondering if it's such a big piece of land, if it could be farther on down where no one else would see it. And just change the location, or if there's a reason why it couldn't be changed. Outside of that, I did hear the comment about that it doesn't interfere with anything, AM, FM, Wi-Fi, and TV. If it does interfere with mine because of my close proximity, how do I get in contact, or who's responsible for fixing that? Would be my question or concern. Let's see, and then also, if it does remain that it's an eyesore, and if the county's getting more money, wondering if that lowers my property taxes, would be a question that I would have for y'all. So if you get a gain on one side, do I get a blessing on mine? And then I like the idea of, instead of having maybe a great big huge tower, if the option is to have 2 small towers that would blend in and look like trees, would that be better for the drive and everybody that lives out there to have 2 small towers that you don't even notice that pop up, instead of having one humongous one? And then there was talk of reports today, and I would love to have copies of the reports. I forget which. I think it was you, ma'am?
On what?
The reports that you said that you had supported with your opening comments. Was that you?
The staff report?
No, the reports that were mentioned in the very beginning. Someone said that they had.
Are you talking about the FFA approval?
Yeah, and all the different things that you have to do. I would love to have a copy of those just to put in my file in case it comes back to haunt me.
We'll take care of that.
So, and then I guess in closing, like I say, I would love to see the smaller tower with the tree and have another tower approved, spread it out. The population out there is pretty sparse. If it only covers 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 miles, maybe it'd be beneficial to have smaller towers farther apart to capture more. And I guess that's all I had to say. I'm sorry it was kind of broken up. Thank you all.
Thank you.
If I can really quickly, I just want to answer Commissioner Gentry's message. I did measure it, and from the intersection that she asked to this proposed tower is 4.4 miles.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm
Mr. Walker.
glad that she was able to pull it up because I had some internet connectivity issues. All I could show was that there was one tower within 5 miles. There's property taxes, those sorts of things I can't speak on, obviously, but the ability of dropping it to 2 towers, I mean, 2 towers on the same piece of property at a lower height is still providing the same coverage. The idea is to provide coverage to the area that's out there. I have gotten approval from Verizon Wireless that they have given me approval to lower this height by 50 feet, or lower this tower by 50 feet to bring it to a 250-foot tower. If that will appease anyone, they have run the numbers and proved that they can still provide the same coverage, or adequate coverage with a 250-foot tower. As far as property values, we all drive by towers every day and we just don't notice them. They're everywhere. You walk out your door and you look around and you're probably going to see one in the distance. You just don't notice it because they become part of our everyday life. I'm currently in the market for a home. I'm looking every day for a home, and every time my wife and I walk into a house, the first thing she does is looks at her cell phone, and if she doesn't have coverage, it's off the list. So as far as property values go, no wireless coverage is taking them off of my list. I have to have connectivity in order to kind of function. I think most of us are in that boat nowadays. With that, I'll
Go back, go back to the 300 versus 250. Are they equal, or?
They've come back and shown their ideal coverage is 300 feet.
Okay.
But at 250 feet, they can still provide coverage and hand off to adjacent sites.
Good.
So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioners, anybody? Ms. Gentry, question? And is there anyone else, Madam Clerk?
No, sir, that concludes the speakers.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda then would be to consider or to grant or deny the petition as requested.
Motion to come out of the.
I'm sorry.
If I could have a motion.
Thanks, Marshall. Yeah, motion to come out of public hearing. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried. Now, item number 4, consider to grant or deny the petition request. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the request.
We have a motion to approve the request as presented. Any discussion? Yes.
Could you please make sure that you would include the 4 findings of fact in the comprehensive plan?
So noted.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Ms. Gentry, question? She's still with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried.
Aye.
Thank you. At this point in our meeting, we have informal comments. And do we have,
Yes, sir, we have one person to sign up, Ms. Anderson Clayton of Roxborough.
Ms. Clayton?
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening.
My name is Anderson Clayton. I'm the chair of the Person County Democrats. Thank you to everyone who's joining us online and may not be in the room tonight. I wanted to remind everybody that voting for city council elections takes place tomorrow. So October the 5th is election day in Person County. You can vote right here in the county office building in the auditorium downstairs from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. We are really encouraging folks to get out and vote. We did it at Personality, had a booth. We've been canvassing and doing some of the get out the vote efforts here, just trying to get those numbers up. Only 12% of registered voters in Person County voted in 2017 during municipal elections. We should be encouraging every single person we know right now who lives within the city to get out and vote. It is our constitutional right, and we want to make sure that we use it. The Person County Democrats are going to be meeting next on October the 18th at 7 p.m. for anybody who would like to come. Our meetings are open to anyone regardless of party affiliation. So if you'd like to come and give the Democrats a good mouthful, I'm always open to hear that. And we are always welcoming of anybody that'd like to come into our meeting spaces. So definitely do that. Personality was wonderful. I just wanted to say thank you to the chamber, Uptown Roxborough group, everybody that sponsored that event. A lot of community came out to that, and it was really just great to see it. The other thing, broadband, I am really curious. I don't know if the board has talked a lot about how we're using the American Rescue Plan dollars that we're going to be getting. I haven't heard much discussion about that, but I know that I've missed the last 2 meetings, so I'm not sure if that was something that's already been talked about. But I want to make sure that, the public has emphasis and public comment on maybe where those dollars are going. I'm working with a couple of counties out in Tennessee that are specifically using theirs towards broadband expansion in their counties, They're working with electric co-op specifically out in Tennessee, but I'm really interested to kind of see where Person County is lying on that right now, because there are a lot of people in this county that don't have access to the internet. I know the FCC data might say that we are 88% covered, but we all know that that data is wrong and that it's lying, and that there are extremely underserved areas in this community that don't have access. And that also goes in with affordability as well, which is another part of that conversation that I'd love to hear us talk more about. So thank you all so much for the work that you do, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item number 5 on the agenda is discussion, adjustment, or approval of the consent agenda as stated.
Move for approval.
Have a motion for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried.
Aye.
Thank you. Old business, item number 6, second reading for an updated ordinance regulating possession or consumption of malt beverages or unfortified wine on county property, Mr. John Hill.
Good evening, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good, sir.
Good. On September the 20th, I came to you guys came to the commissioners to propose that we change the ordinance for the special use permit alcohol ordinance in Person County so that we can have alcohol served on special event areas, especially tourism event areas. So before you tonight to get your official, last time was your ceremonial approval, but this would be your official approval. We have 800 riders right now waiting in Reedsville for them and their families to come in the morning. And as a matter of fact, I got a couple of calls and from a few people riding in it, and they were like, "Hey, is Person County ready for this tourism event?" And I was like, "I think we are." So they should be arriving, starting in the fastest riders around 11 o'clock. So that's pretty quick, 90 miles. The chamber, and by the way, the chamber has already secured, made arrangements if you guys do approve.
Any questions of Mr. Hill?
11 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Yeah, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning is when the first one will be arriving, but I don't think that they probably won't have any alcohol at 11 o'clock. They'll probably have the coffee and donuts.
I wasn't asking that question.
Yeah.
I just want to know what time.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was 11 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, NC Cycle will be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow. We've already got most of our stuff set up, and they will be set up by 11 o'clock. They're trying to beat the first rider here. So,
Okay. Thank you, John.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Hill? If not, we move to item number 7, authorizing the resolution for a special event location. Mr. Hill, we need a vote on that one too?
Yes, we do. We
Good.
need
Go-
to
okay, go
adopt
back.
that ordinance, as an
All right.
updated ordinance.
Do we have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Make a motion.
Do we have a motion? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carried. Then item number 7, authorizing resolution for special. Mr. Hill.
so the item number 7 is the actual resolution. As you made changes to your ordinance, you actually have to adopt each time one of these special occasions come up. Whoever is wanting one of these special occasions, they have to come to you and request that a specific location be adopted. So this is what we're doing right now.
And that is number 7.
Correct.
Okay. Questions of the resolution on Mr. Hill? It's a pleasure of the board.
Motion to authorize the resolution.
Have a motion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Delayed reaction there, but still affirmative. Thank you, John.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you for all your work on this, bringing people in attention in Person County. We appreciate it. New business, item number 8, stormwater. Ms. Oakley and John Hill again.
This will not go far. Chairman, members of the board, John and I were here before you in May of this year, reviewing 3 possible stormwater projects to meet the requirements that were contained in the IAIA, which is the Interim Alternative Implementation Approach for the Falls Watershed. Just kind of wanted to give you a brief update and let you know that one of those projects is completely off the table now, as that property has been sold. So we kind of wanted to update you on the other 2 projects, which is the one site that we refer to as the county farm, and then also the land adjacent to the Rock Athletic Complex. So far as the county farm site, I would say that we have experienced some hurdles gaining access to that site. I think we would all agree that that is still our number 1 site and our number 1 focus, and that is why we are still working so diligently on acquiring access to it, but it is definitely a time process. It's going to take a little while. As part of the IAIA requirements, we do need to spend that stormwater money, which is approximately $144,000 and some change, before June 30th of 2021, which will be here before we know it. So that is why we are simultaneously moving forward with our second site, which was the property that we had discussed with you that's next to the Rock Athletic Complex. Again, we're not abandoning the county farm site, we're just looking at both sites simultaneously. And at this point, I think I'm going to turn it over to John to talk a little bit more about the update. John has really been a tremendous asset to these projects. He's really gotten in the trenches and done a lot of the legwork, which has really been appreciated by both me and our stormwater team. So again, I'll let him give you a little bit more of the update.
And just to clarify, Lori, the money has to be spent by June 2022. Next
Sorry,
year.
yes. Not correct. I'm
Yeah.
just behind. Yes, June 30th of 2022.
Yeah.
All right, just a real quick update. So, as Lori says, we would like to go ahead and keep the stormwater project moving along, and we've got to spend some money. So, as you know, the second choice project was the Rock Athletic Complex, and if we could show the commissioners one of the slides of the Rock Athletic Complex.
Did you submit that ahead of time?
Yeah.
That was in their packet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are PDFs.
Okay. We might have to pull that up on our packet.
And if you have your copies of it,
Yeah. I don't know that
Somewhere
IT's
there are
prepared to
three.
project that.
Yeah.
okay. Well, it's in the packet. It is in the public packet, so you don't necessarily have to. We don't have to show it up on the board since you have it in front of you. So basically, the project, what it would do is we would approach the school system to try to connect the acreage of the Rock Athletic Complex to the school system in near Southern Middle School. So our properties right now already adjoin each other. And so what we would do is we would use some of the same IAIA stormwater program projects to help get our requirement. And as you see, what we could put there is you could do the same thing in a smaller scale as the county farm. So you'd be able to also build mountain bike trails, hiking trails, environmental education components, the wildlife, birding, the fertilizer education, because you would actually have more fertilizer education at the Rock Athletic Complex than you would at the county farm, so that would be even better. And eventually what we would like to do with that project is we would like to explore down the road of how we could build some kind of connectivity with the city's utilities right-of-ways. So if you know how other cities and other counties are working in a progressive manner for green space, utilities in which there's utilities, public utilities on the Rock Athletic Complex, a lot of counties and municipalities are using those utilities to turn them into green spaces, trails, and to be able to connect different parts of your community to other parts of your community. So the idea is that we've already reached out to an architect firm so that we can really get into the nitty-gritty of planning and seeing what the potential of these IAIA projects are. And I'll go one step further about this particular project as well. So as you know, the Rock Athletic Complex is already a huge tourism site, already getting people to come in and play travel tournaments and things of that nature. But the Rock Athletics Complex is maxed out. You can't develop anything else there unless you actually have a stormwater plan in place. And so that kind of complements what we're looking for as also doing the IAIA, as well as enhancing a piece of property of yours that you can actually down the road already have stormwater measures in place. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We do want to later this month, we'd like to have a public meeting to see to talk about all these different elements and show the public and ask them some of their questions and concerns about both of these projects, and possibly get some more ideas from them as well.
Okay.
I know that was a lot.
Board members?
Thank you.
Question, John, is this a question and answer period for RAB board or for the commissioners?
So this is going,
Public,
this is going to be public.
Yeah.
But we will invite the commissioners and we will invite the Recreation Advisory Board as well, because we want them to be involved in that.
To one of our meetings?
Say again?
To our meetings?
No, this is going to be a public meeting. What we'll do is we'll advertise a public meeting, public information session,
Like a community meeting.
a community meeting.
Will be here.
We'll probably do the first one in Helena, since that's closer to the county farm,
Okay.
and that's where we're getting a lot of our interest and a lot of our questions. And then as we move further into the IAI program, the process, we'll probably have another community meeting closer to town.
Thank you.
So this is information, so no action needed by us on any of this.
This is just an
Right.
update.
Yep, thank you. All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
We have your address and we will mail those to you. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Next on the agenda is item number 9 that was added for Rio Solar LLC written decision denying special use permits. Short, you want to address that, or Attorney?
Certainly, I can. I mean, I'm happy to answer, my mic on, okay. I'm happy to answer any questions you all have. At this point, the statutes require that the ordinance be adopted, and there's really no change from what you all considered and what you voted on several weeks ago. But again, if there's specific questions about the language of the ordinance, happy to go through that with you.
Right, our understanding is that this just formalizes the decision that the board
Yes, ma'am.
made. So there's no new information in it, it just reflects the decision of the board.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
And
We need to move for approval?
that's what I was just gonna say.
We-
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a motion. Any discussion on that?
What are we motioning on?
So, I apologize, I didn't explain that clearly. So we're looking for a motion to approve the order as written. You as a board have already denied the special use permit request. And so as Manager York said, all this does is it formalizes with written conditions, or excuse me, written findings of fact and written conclusions of law, what you all have already decided. You just have to have a written order under the state statutes. And so a motion to approve would be, I think, what is requested, unless there is something in the order that the board needs to discuss.
Which is the next step in the process, basically, essentially.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Exactly.
okay.
So you should have a hard copy at your seats as well as an electronic version that was emailed to the whole board.
So basically, we're making the motion on this document right here. so that
That's
you-
correct, sir.
To approve that.
Is that a motion?
I think, did PJ make the motion?
Yes,
or-
PJ did.
PJ made
PJ
the
already
motion.
has. Any further discussion?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes, got you. Okay, no further comments or discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None, motion carried.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 10, consideration to relocate the boards October 18th, November 1st, November 15th, December 6th, meetings to be held in the county auditorium.
Motion to move the meetings to that location.
Have a motion, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. For Chairman's report, I do not have a report, Ms. York.
I do not have a formal report, but I did want to mention that the American Rescue Funds that were mentioned, we have been receiving direction and lots of meetings about these, and are being told right now to kind of sit tight and not plan on spending any of those funds yet until we get a little bit further clarification from the Treasury Department. So we are planning on having a committee and a process to receive input and looking at which projects might be eligible for those, which would include broadband. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Perrier?
No report.
Commissioner Palmer?
No report, sir.
Commissioner Gentry?
No, sir, no report.
All right.
No report. Did you hear me?
We got it,
got
we
it.
got it. Thank you. Do we have a motion to go into closed session now?
Commissioner Sims, you didn't ask me.
I'm sorry.
And I
Go
have,
ahead, sir.
I do have
I'll
some
give you
questions.
extra time, just
Thank
about.
you, I appreciate it. Commissioner Gentry, I'm sorry you can't be here tonight, but I would like to know what is going on with the Economic Development Task Force. When I look at my records, it looks like we've not met since May 19th. And I'm just wondering why that is. If you could answer that for me, I appreciate it, or text it, or somehow.
She says that she has sent an email. If you had read your email, it would be in there.
I read the email and said it would be November before we would get a report. Is that correct?
That is great.
I'm just wondering why, is the task force working on anything right now?
Yes.
Can you give us any explanation on that?
The task force finished and further meeting have had to be arranged.
So if I'm listening to you correctly, we haven't had a meeting since May 19th, and the task force is working on something that we don't know. And this task force was only supposed to last 6 weeks originally when we initially talked about this in our county commissioners meeting. Is that correct?
Appears that she's typing something there. Right, she says, task force to meet, yes, further work to be done as a result of their findings. So glad you have taken an interest.
I just have a concern that we've said this was going to last 6 weeks. It's gone on. This was, the last meeting was in May, and here we are in October, and we haven't had any information. We're not the only one that's asking. The public is asking about the task force. And if she's working on a final report, that's fine. I just want to know where we're at. I think the public needs to know where we're at. because people are asking questions. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll wait till our next meeting and bring it up again when hopefully she can be here.
Thank you.
I'm not done.
Thank you.
My next thing is that we had Mr. John Seep here our last meeting. He left us with some questions, and I'd like to answer a couple of those questions that he left us with. I'm sorry he's not here. I understand he's out of the country, but I'm sure he will get this information. First, he asked about land donation to PCC for the ATC. I talked with Beth Townsend. That's actually who he told me to ask. I talked with Beth Townsend at PCC. She said at this time she was not aware of any land donation. So I hope that answers that question. His other question was about the moratorium on the solar panel parks. You know, what was happening. And I made some phone calls on that and asked some questions. And we're in the process. I know Lori is. She's talked with Ellis, and they're in the process of working on that moratorium and what will happen with that. We'll get that information later. And then his third question, which I think Heidi answered, was mandating vaccines for county employees. And I think Heidi answered that question at the last meeting, but we are following CDC guidelines, and we are in hold on that. So, Mr. Seep, the other thing that you did, you gave the newspaper a piece of paper that had my name on it for Advanced Manufacturing Board for PCC, not the Advanced Technology Center. Again, he keeps emphasizing I'm on an Advanced Technology Center, and I'm not. There's a difference. I have no problem with citizens getting up and having their time with public comments. But if you're wrong, and I know you're wrong, and it's about me, I will correct you. And I hope you're not offended by this, Mr. C. On a positive note, we had a couple of good things that happened in Person County this past week. I'd like to mention first, I'd like to recognize the Uptown Roxborough Group for applying for and getting a $25,000 hometown revitalization grant from Duke Energy Foundation. This grant will help restaurants and retailers adapt to the challenges caused by the pandemic. One thing about grants, if you don't apply, you're not going to get them. Kudos to the Uptown Roxborough Group. Second, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, which was mentioned earlier, for putting on a great personality festival this past Saturday. You know, a year ago, we couldn't have this event due to COVID. But this year, the weather, food, games, and music were great. It was good to see people walking our streets and having a good time. I would like to thank the many volunteers that helped set up and tear down after the festival. It's a lot of hard work that goes into putting on this festival. Kudos to the Chamber of Commerce and all those that helped. And that's my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Just kidding. Okay. All right. No other reports then. Do we need to go into closed session? So do we have a motion to go into closed session per General Statute 143, 318.11A4?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carried.